Welcome. My name is Emma Wilson, and if there's one thing I've learned in life, it's this. Sometimes, the sweetest victories come after the longest, hardest battles. And sometimes, those closest to you can become the very obstacles you must overcome. If you've ever been overlooked, underestimated, or forced to fight twice as hard for things others were handed with ease, then I hope my story resonates with you. Maybe it'll even inspire you. So hit that like button if you've ever known that feeling, and let me know where you're watching from. I never imagined my college graduation would turn into an act of poetic justice. At 24 years old, standing next to my sister Lily in our matching navy blue caps and gowns, should have been a joyful, proud day, a celebration of achievement, of family coming together to honor our hard work. But for me, it meant something deeper. It was a day I had been waiting for, counting down to, because years of quiet resentment, unspoken heartache, and unfair treatment had led me here. I can still hear my parents' voices from that awful night, echoing in my mind, "She deserves it. Emma, you don't." Those words carved deep wounds inside, me ones that festered quietly while I smiled on the outside, keeping the peace. But deep down, I promised myself one thing, that one day I would prove them wrong, not out of bitterness, but out of a need for my own dignity. And standing there at graduation, watching their faces drain of color as the truth unfolded, was everything I had envisioned. But let me take you back first. You need to understand how it all began. I grew up in a suburban neighborhood in Michigan, in a neat little 2-story house with a white picket fence and a trimmed lawn. From the outside, it looked like the picture of middle-class normalcy. Inside were photo frames lining the walls, family portraits of us smiling at summer picnics, holiday dinners, vacations to the lake. But like many families, the pictures told only part of the story. My parents, Robert and Diana Wilson, were stable, responsible people. My dad worked long hours as an accountant at a mid-sized firm downtown. My mom taught English at the local high school, the same one Lily and I would later attend. We weren't wealthy, but there was always food on the table, presents under the tree at Christmas, vacations every couple of years. Financial hardship wasn't supposed to be part of my future. My younger sister Lily was born 2 years after me, a beautiful, bubbly girl with golden curls and sparkling blue eyes. From the time we were little, it was clear to everyone, including me, that Lily was the favored child. I say it because it was obvious. She was naturally gifted, the kind of girl who could ace a spelling test without trying, charm every adult at family parties, win praise from teachers effortlessly. She was graceful, athletic, and clever. Wherever she went, admiration seemed to follow. I, on the other hand, was quieter, more introspective. I loved reading books under the covers late into the night, drawing in my sketchbook, dreaming of one day writing my own stories. I worked hard in school, but nothing ever seemed to come as easily for me as it did for Lily. And more importantly, my efforts rarely seemed to register with my parents. Looking back, the pattern started early. Christmas mornings were the first lessons. I remember sitting cross-legged on the living room carpet, heart pounding with excitement, as Dad handed out the gifts. Lily would tear through wrapping paper to reveal the latest American Girl doll, a brand new bicycle, a shiny iPad when we were older. My pile always seemed different, practical. A sweater, socks, an off-brand art kit from the discount store. "Your sister needs more encouragement with her talents," my mom would say gently, brushing my question aside when I noticed the difference. Even at 8 years old, I recognized the unfairness. But what could I do? I learned early to swallow my feelings, to not rock the boat. My parents didn't yell or punish, but their favoritism was quieter, more insidious. It came in small moments: who they praised at dinner, who they spent more one-on-one time with, whose report cards got proudly hung on the fridge. In school, I worked hard. I wasn't a straight-A student like Lily, but I earned solid B's, the occasional A, and I poured myself into the arts. My sketches and short stories began winning small contests. My English teacher, Mrs. Green, once told me, "Emma, you have a real gift with words. You should think about writing seriously." It was one of the first moments an adult, outside of family, had recognized me for something. But when I brought my award-winning short story home, a little certificate and a $25 gift card, my parents barely blinked. "That's nice," Mom said distractedly, folding laundry. "Your sister just got picked for the advanced science program." And so it went, year after year. By high school, the gap between Lily and me widened. She was the golden child, involved in student government, varsity sports, drama club, AP classes. Teachers adored her. My parents beamed with pride at every parent-teacher night. I had my small victories, an art piece featured in the local gallery, a poem published in the school literary journal. But those wins were met with polite, fleeting acknowledgement at home. Never the deep pride they showed for Lily. What hurt most wasn't the comparison. It was the feeling of invisibility. The tipping point came the summer before my senior year. College talk was buzzing in our house. Applications, campus tours, financial aid discussions. Dad started spreadsheets, tracking costs. Mom collected brochures and compared majors. One warm July night, after Lily had gone to bed, I overheard them talking in the kitchen. "She's not like Lily," my dad was saying, his voice low but clear through the thin walls. "We need to prioritize. We can't afford full tuition for both." "But what if she gets scholarships?" Mom asked half-heartedly. Dad sighed. "She's not going to pull in the kind of scholarships Lily will. We'll help her if we can, but Lily comes first. She deserves it." And then, the sentence that burned into me, "Emma doesn't." I stood frozen in the hallway, pulse racing. My throat tightened. I wanted to storm in and scream, to confront them, but I didn't. I crept back to my room, crawled into bed, and cried silently into my pillow. That night changed something in me. I stopped expecting their approval. I stopped hoping they would notice my efforts. Instead, I quietly vowed that I would find my own way, and that one day, they would see. Not because I needed their validation, but because I needed to reclaim my own worth. I applied to colleges without their help. I researched scholarships, grants, anything I could find. I took on extra hours at my part-time bookstore job, tutoring kids in English on weekends. I lived frugally, saved every dollar. My acceptance letter came in the spring, a mid-sized liberal arts college with a solid writing program. Not Ivy League like Lily dreamed of, but it was mine, and I would make it work. I could see the disappointment on my parents' faces when I told them. "That's good, Emma," Mom said, forcing a smile. "But are you sure you can manage it on your own?" I nodded. "I'm sure." And so began 4 years of relentless effort. I worked 2 part-time jobs through college. I applied for every scholarship I could find, piecing together my tuition. I lived off instant noodles and cheap textbooks. I studied late into the night, wrote pages upon pages of essays, stories, projects. There were times I wanted to quit, when exhaustion and self-doubt crept in. But every time I thought of giving up, I remembered those words. "She deserves it." "You don't." And I pushed on. By senior year, something incredible happened. My writing caught the attention of one of my professors, a published novelist. With her mentorship, I submitted a portfolio to a national undergraduate writing competition and won first place. The award came with not only a generous grant, but also a publishing offer for my first collection of short stories. When I called to tell my parents, their reaction was muted. "That's great, Emma," Dad said vaguely. "But Lily just got accepted to her dream grad school." And yet, it didn't matter anymore. I had learned to stop measuring my worth through their eyes. I had built my own future, brick by brick. And then came graduation. Now, I'll pause here. Let me know if you've ever had to prove yourself against the odds. Drop it in the comments. I read every single one. Because that day, standing in my cap and gown next to Lily, was the moment it all came full circle.